Welcome back to the Elite Trainer Academy, brought to you by Mind Pump. Today, we're doing something a little bit different on the show. We've got Marlon. Marlon is a big box trainer. He's been a trainer for a little over a year, and he's crushing it. In fact, he's crushing it so much that we decided we want to bring him out to the Mind Pump HQ to learn from our team. He got to spend time with myself, Adam, Sal, Justin, Doug, the rest of our production team and our trainers here. And he got to shadow and learn from, in my opinion, the best in the industry. So I think you're going to find what he has to say valuable and relatable. And if you do enjoy this content, let us know. You can message us on Instagram at Mind Pump Academy. Marlon, welcome.
Good to be here.
So, been a few days here in the Mind Pump studio. A lot of information. You got a chance to spend some time with the guys, with our trainers here at the studio. How's the experience been for you?
It's been amazing. It's a whole surreal experience. I never expect that I would be here after watching you guys for 2 years now.
Yeah. So you've been training in a big box gym for, has it been a year?
A year. Last week it's been a year.
And sounds like you've been killing it.
Yeah.
So top sales guy, top trainer in the gym. What's the focus for you going forward? Like, what was the reason that you wanted to take the time out of your busy schedule to come out to Mind Pump to learn? Like, what's the direction that you're trying to take your business and your career?
I wanted to scale beyond in person by building an online presence. I also wanted to learn more about the community aspect because I was limited to just my gym, and I felt like my niche being with parents would be better used if I did it online and did it within my community. The biggest thing that I had an issue with was learning where to start. So that's what brought me here to you guys.
Did you learn where to start?
I sure did.
Okay, tell me about it. What are the action steps you're going to take? Where are you starting?
Building that Facebook group, the community, and going around my local businesses to try to build relationships. It's so simple on paper, but applying it is what's going to be a little bit challenging for me because I haven't done that before.
You did a good job, though, applying the stuff that you got from the original trainer course that you went through. One of the things I learned about you yesterday at lunch was, I didn't realize how many clients you already had in such a short, to have a full book of clients, right? So a trainer that's servicing 30 hours or more in a week is considered a full-time trainer. And so to reach full-time status within a year is impressive, one. Two, you also started the first portion of that year, I believe, working another job still too. So it was only until you took the course and then began to apply that you went full-time at the gym, right?
Yes.
And like when you took the course, what was that? Because obviously you're like, okay, I'm not making enough as a trainer part-time or full-time, so I have to have this other job to support me. You go through the Mind Pump Elite Trainer Academy course. What did you take from that really just switched it up for you?
The number one thing would be the assessments. Back at the big box gyms that I work at, we have to give workouts, which from my experience, it was a hit or miss because a lot of like, well, I already know how to do that. And it didn't really teach them exactly what I think they needed. So when I saw the assessments that you guys were talking about, I was like, oh, that's genius. And then also my inability to do sales at the time, because I just had a few clients that were given to me by my fitness managers, but I needed to get better at actually doing it myself. How you guys communicated to do sales was also brilliant. The 8 questions on what to ask is what made me think okay, I definitely can do this. So those are the 2 things that I got. I got everything from the course, but those are the 2 things that really made me successful.
I love that because if I had to tell anybody that probably the two most important things of that course to figure out, it would be the assessment portion, which it links up with those questions, right? So for those that don't know, trainer assessment is so important. And it's interesting to me how much big box gyms don't teach like an assessment like we teach anymore. That they used to. And what happens is, and maybe some of them still do, but what you find happens, and I'd love to hear your opinion on this because you're in it still, is trainers just end up giving these free workouts. They end up like you get a free appointment, and then you just work the person out, and you train them hard, or maybe you show them an exercise or something, and then hey, do you want to buy training? Is kind of like and you hope they like you, or you hope they like the workout, and then you hope they buy, and then that's their way of converting. And it's talk about hit or miss. It's a very low percentage that will ever convert. In fact, the only people that ever really convert from there are typically people that were already going to buy even before the workout. They were already interested in trainer. They just want to see if they like the workout with you, and that confirmed them like, oh, I like Marlon. I like the workout. I'm going to buy from him. There was no convincing or diagnostic or anything happening with the client. And actually doing that assessment really highlights your knowledge and your ability to help those people beyond just to work out, right?
Yes. And part of that comes from the fact that we're not really building a relationship with them first, which is a huge disservice to the trainers. We are taught pretty much go on the floor and kind of pull them in right then and there. And sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. You kind of have you got to have really good charisma, have the gift of gab to pretty much do that consistently. But even then, it's still, you are so much better off actually talking to them once or twice, remembering something about them first, and reminding them and bringing it back so they know that you remember them. You do so much better when you do that because they see that you actually care. And so, unfortunately, and I'm not going to say all gyms because I don't really know that, but at least the ones that I work at, we don't really practice that just because at the end of the day, got to get the numbers.
Yeah.
But what made it different for me watching you guys' course was that I just might have to do that outside my time. And even when I'm working out, just talk to people. And that's what really helped me be successful along, with the assessment and asking the right questions during the sale.
Now, in a year's time, you become the top trainer in sales. How many trainers are at that gym?
Right now, about 27.
That's impressive, especially within a year's time of just getting started like that. Are you at a point where your peers are starting to ask you questions yet?
Definitely. And a lot of them, I'll go ahead, because we had a group meeting where they did see that I went from no clients to 20 something within a month. And so my assistant and actual fitness manager were impressed by that. So we had a meeting about it. And all I did in the meeting was pretty much practice what you guys said as far as the assessment, the sales questions, building a relationship. And a lot of them are starting to implement that now to where they're starting to be more successful with filling up their books.
Hell yeah.
And would you consider yourself like a salesperson?
No, definitely. That's by all means, no.
It's so good. That's so important to highlight because I think a lot of trainers just think that. They're like, I either have it or I don't. And I think that's really important to understand is that I think most trainers probably don't consider themselves as like, I'm a good salesperson or I have a lot of charisma or I'm good at this. But it's a skill just like anything else that can be learned. You just need the right framework for it.
A lot of them don't even like sales, or they'll think that they didn't know they were going to have to do sales. Right. They just thought, oh, well, I just want to train people and I'm going to get clients sent to me. And that's not fully how that works.
That was my experience. My experience of hiring trainers for many years was, because it typically attracts, right before talking to you, we had Joe, right, who's got an incredible story, very inspirational to what made him get into health and fitness. And that is more normal. It's more normal that you had something happen in your life or you have something where you felt compelled to help others. And so you really get into it most of the time, or you're passionate about health and fitness. So you're either really passionate about health and fitness yourself, or you're really passionate about helping others, rarely ever did I, if ever, did I get a trainer who came in and was like, I'm passionate about sales, so I wanted to get into personal training. Like nobody thinks to get into personal training because they're passionate about sales. They think about getting into personal training to help others, or they had some sort of a major event in their lives that made them very drawn to health. And so it throws a curveball for them. And it's unfortunate because that it's not communicated enough how much of the job is sales. I mean, I think you've learned now, like you are literally selling yourself 90% of the time of the job. I mean, 10% is, yes, training the people, giving them the nutrition and fitness advice. But a good majority of it is you communicating, and that's effective communication is sales. That's all that is. And so really cool to always hear from somebody who agrees that like, hey, I'm not a sales guy whatsoever, but yet I've been able to load my book full of clients in a short period of time by applying those tactics for sure.
Yeah, and to highlight something important there is it's not sales. When people think sales, they hear sales, they think like the car salesman, or think like pushing something on to somebody, and that's not what it is. It's what Adam said, which is just effective communication. What it comes down to is building relationships. That's where it all starts. So just like you said, it's talking to people, getting to know things about them, remembering those things about them. It's building relationships, and then that just naturally, organically leads to, if they're interested in working with you as a coach, then it'll organically lead in that direction. So it should feel very natural and organic to do sales properly. It's just building relationships at the end of the day. That's all it is.
Of all the things that we've gone through that this week, which you've gone through the course, like kind of what Kyle was saying, kind of getting back to that, like, do you feel like there's like one or two things? Because I know what I've learned from this week with with you guys is it's been a fire hose of information, and there's a lot to take from it. But have you distilled it down to a couple things where you're like, when I go back, like this is just like you did with the course, right? There's a lot in the course. Mm-hmm. There's like 40 hours worth of content in that course. But what you did that's really smart is I think you did hone in on the two probably most important things that you could get out of that course that will make a difference. Have you kind of figured that out from this week yet?
Yeah, so one of them is, of course, what we talked about, building a group, building a community. That's something that I'm going to implement right away. The other thing that I didn't really think about much until I talked about it with Kyle is how you coach. Like, as much as I've been coaching for about a year, I'm going off a system that is not 100% beneficial for the client, just because the gym has a certain way they want to handle it. And seeing how Kyle and the other trainers coach their clients has helped out a lot. I'll give an example. Doing a Loom call where you're pretty much sending a video to the client, reviewing their progress, them sending a video of how they feel. Genius. I'm going to implement that right away. I feel like getting that feedback where they're putting in everything with their weekly check-in, but actually hearing them how they feel and kind of cross-correlating what you're missing from what they're putting in for the weekly check-in and what they're actually saying is extremely valuable. And again, that's something that we're not getting too much from the gym because the main source of communication is from the session, and we only have a certain amount of time. I try my best outside the gym hours to communicate and try to help coach, whatever they feel or I feel that they need help with. But doing it the way you guys have taught me is the number one thing that I'm going to go implement right away, because that's going to be such a huge service for my clients.
I love that that's your takeaway, because one of the things that's on my list to talk to you guys about today is how do you separate yourself from the other trainers in your gym? And that's one of the best things that you can do working for a commercial gym is they already have what's nice about that is you get the reps, you got the volume of people in there, they have kind of systems in place already. And what happens is it kind of lulls a lot of trainers to sleep, because it's like they figured it out. Like, I'm a good trainer. Every couple weeks, the boss will send me a client my way. I'll close a couple deals here. I've got a nice base, and they don't ever go beyond that. They don't evolve past that. They got a living. They've got this kind of ongoing, lead source from the company, and they're not evolving and going like, okay, how do I like really elevate and separate myself from my peers. So it was always something that I taught my trainers to do, is like, be that person. I've seen trainers do so many crazy things, man. I've seen trainers that the way they greet is so unique. When they walk in the gym, they would just do something silly and funny and loud that like everybody saw and knew when their clients came in, because that trainer was that type of personality. I had another trainer that asked if I could put this little towel thing inside, like a heater for towels inside the break room. It's like literally like this big. And I said, that's fine. He's the only person that ever asked me that. I don't have a problem with that. And he did that. And so when those clients came in, they got a warm towel that he handed them as soon as they walked in. You know, he supplied the towels, he washed them, but just like little then he started to bring his own little water bottles, hand him that. You know, this is all coming out of his pocket. The company didn't provide any of that stuff, but he just wanted to separate himself from everybody else. And you know what? All the other clients start to see this stuff. All the other members start to see this. And you keep stepping up. You do the Loom videos like other people are doing, and you're just on another playing field than everybody else inside that gym. And then that reputation gets around. And then this gap of you being the top and then second place is a distant second, because you've learned to elevate beyond just that. Like, that's so key. So the fact that that was one of your takeaways makes me really happy to hear that, because one of the key things I wanted to talk to you guys today about is exactly that, is like, what are some of these things, these little things that I can do that nobody else out of my peers is doing for their clients that blow them away service-wise, man. You add that community, you do things like that, you just watch what that does for you in return.
I remember we had this conversation with our trainers here. Have you seen what Marcelo has done in response to that conversation?
No, I have not.
He this is so funny.
I love this kid though, by the way. This is so every great. Time I talk to Marcelo about anything, he goes and does it.
Yeah, it's so great. We all give him crap for this, but I love it. It's great. He brings in his Ninja Creamy, and he'll have clients that he'll prepare like a high protein Ninja Creamy for after their workout. It's the funniest thing, because you'll just hear it in the background. It's super loud. But it's different. It's unique. The clients love it. So
badass.
It's amazing.
I see. That's what I'm talking about. It's like those little things like that. Like, listen, very few people will remember what you said, but they'll remember how you made them feel. And so you doing those things will make them feel a certain way that nobody else can do. And so that's how and I always tell young trainers, like, that's how you outcompete the guy who's been doing this for 20 years and he's got 4 degrees and he's got 10 national certifications and he's brilliant and he has all this stuff like that, but he ain't doing all those little things. And so, yeah, maybe when the one doctor who comes in who has really technical questions, he wins that battle. But that's 1% of the clients. The other 99% are going to make their decision based off of how you make them feel. And if you're finding little ways to do all these things to make them feel different than any other client will, game over. Game over.
Yeah, the bar is so low, especially in big box gyms. The bar is really low. So it's just a little bit of effort goes a long way with separating yourself.